Hey guys, what up? Bevan here. I want to talk about the fourth step in getting started with continual breath awareness. And this is actually an optional step. So if you've done steps 1 through 3, which is basically learning how to meditate, learning what the state of presence feels like, and making your meditation sessions more dynamic, opening your eyes, looking around and whatnot, walking around, doing stuff while you're paying attention to the sensations of breathing. So make sure I'm still recording here. Then you can make it more and more dynamic and just go from there, and you can achieve continual breath awareness that way. People have contacted me who've achieved the state without doing a solo retreat, so it's not strictly necessary. And I've actually gotten back into this state without doing a solo retreat, so you don't necessarily have to do it, but I would highly recommend it because I think it'll be a lot easier to get into this state of continual breath awareness, just because it's hard to get into. We have a lot of conditioned responses to our environments, a lot of habits built around our environments basically, that make it very hard to escape patterns of thought that are just going to yank us out of the state of presence. So you can do it at home. It's been done. I've done it, after the first time I did it, and other people have too apparently, but probably do a retreat if you're serious about really getting into the state, especially if you don't have a huge amount of experience with meditation or going on retreats before or whatever. So what is the retreat? Well, I would suggest you go out into nature by yourself or with very like-minded people, but probably by yourself for at least 5 days. And during this time, you want to be, focusing on your breath the entire time. It's really pretty simple. There's various tools you can use to stay focused on your breath when you're just starting out, which I've talked about in other videos, such as counting your breath. That's actually how I got started. Using the rhythm of your steps to kind of stay on your breath, or there's various other tools that I'll talk about in other videos as well. But the main idea is just do continual breath awareness, just get into it, right? So it's going to be hard, you're not going to be able to do it at first, but that's why you're in nature by yourself without any distractions. Leave your cell phone at home and just focus on the breath. Nature, very important. So a lot of people might say, okay, why do you want to meditate in nature? It sounds like some kind of bullshit hippie thing. And partly it might be because oftentimes meditating in nature is not really the idyllic experience that you might expect, because there's like bugs and it gets hot or cold or whatever. But being in nature is actually great because being in nature just reduces your stress levels. It makes you feel good. It puts you at peace. That sort of background hum of industrialization is not present, and it really takes a toll when it is present. You don't really realize that until you get out into nature. I say this as planes are going overhead and stuff, but just being around green space is very beneficial for your health and for your mental health as well. And if you don't believe me, just go on PubMed, the citation index or whatever, and just search for green space. Green space is a technical term for trees and shit. And it turns out that people who live near green space, if you live near like a public park or something like that, or near a forest, pretty much all of your markers of health are going to be elevated compared to people who don't. So there's very profound effects of being in nature. So I would say don't make it harder than it needs to be. Go into nature where your stress level is going to be reduced. And if for some reason you can't manage that, if you can't manage to go camping for a week for whatever reason, I would say at least get out of your habitual environment, because we have so many conditioned responses to our regular environments that it's going to be hard to really do something so drastically different, namely being aware of your breath at every moment. That's not something that you naturally do in your home, and you have just so many triggers in your home that are going to be, firing reactions in your brain and so forth, that it's going to be a lot harder to do it in a familiar environment. So get out of your house, go somewhere, ideally in nature, to do this. And that's pretty much it. I guess a pretty simple step, and as I said, optional, but highly recommended. That's it for this video. This is not the end of the series actually, because it turns out that getting into continual breath awareness is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more that you have to do to sustain it for any period of time, because your mind is going to try to take you out of it, and there's just a lot of sort of games that your mind is going to play on you once you're in the state. And I've been in and out of the state a ton of times. Frankly, I've been out of the state more than I've been in it. It's just a tricky thing, and your mind's going to play all sorts of tricks on you, which I'll talk about in subsequent videos. But there are ways to kind of work around those and to kind of increase the length of time you're in the practice and so forth. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I guess you're probably already subscribed if you're watching this part 4 of the series, right? But anyway, good luck with your meditation goals. Hopefully you're experiencing the state of presence on a regular basis, or continual breath awareness, even if you've been following this channel. And if you've fallen off of continual breath awareness, don't worry about it. You know, as I've mentioned, like, I actually don't know of anyone who's been in it for a super long time. The longest I've been in the state is about maybe 6 weeks, kind of tapering off at the end there. So it's not something that I've really sustained for incredibly long. But just the experience of doing it teaches you a lot about yourself, a lot about your mind, a lot about the importance of entering presence regularly. So I don't really think it's necessarily important to be in it all the time, but to at least go into it for a sustained period, at least once or twice in your life, I think it's something very valuable and can teach you an awful lot. So I encourage you to check out the other videos and really try out meditation if you haven't already, and continual breath awareness. And I'm kind of rambling at this point, so I'm going to leave it at that. Hope you're doing well. I'll talk to you later. Bye.